Hello, welcome back to Backend part. So this part, we're going to install several other necessary softwares we're going to use only in the backend part though. So if you decided that you just want to learn like the mapping libraries or how to make a web map and like a static web map and just host it on the GitHub pages, and you think, okay, that's all for me, is you can just stop here, right? You don't have to like install all of these, because this is one for the backend part. So it's not necessarily useful for the front end parts. So yes. So first we want to do is to install the Python. So Python is, as you know, probably a lot of you already have this version. So if you already have a version of the Python 3, you can just skip this. Okay, you don't have to like uninstall and reinstall again. So yes. So first, but however, if you do not have this, you can just follow me. Okay. So let's click on that link. Let's lead us to go to the Pythons, right? We can just download the latest version. Let's try that. Right, it's downloading, and once it's finished, we can just click on that so that we can just use that. Right. Right. So as you can see, I'm actually using my own computers right now. So you can actually like install for all users because you already have these administrators privilege. That's all right. But I'm going to just install on these users alone. So that's all right. Let's for all users. Let's just click on that. Well, I don't want to do that, but it's all right. But make sure you add the Python 3.9 to pass. Let's click on install now. Should take some time. So when it's running, let's go to the instructions and look at the second parts. So we can just skip to the second part. Let's wait for the Python 3 to install. Okay, let's go to the MongoDB database. So to install this, let's click on that. Click on this link. That will lead us to a new pages. You should be seeing something like this. So I would say any versions is all right. It says a 4.4.6. That's all right. Let's just use the latest versions. Let's click on download. It should be downloading Windows for MSI, which is like a installers, right? Which is better. Okay, stick to this. Okay. So when it's downloading, let's check on the Pythons. So it should be there any times. Should be there any times. Yeah. Well, what we're waiting is we can just go back and see. Okay, so next we want to install is a MongoDB campus. So this is like the GUI for MongoDB, and we can actually use this for some updates, because like a simple updating jobs, you can actually upload your data or files into the database, which is very nice to have since we don't actually want to introduce deeper into the database parts. But since anyways, you will want to go for that after these labs, that's totally encouraged. You can actually do that, do more. There's a lot of possibilities. And I, including myself, I'm still using MongoDB as like a database for my own research purposes. So, all right. So let's check on, okay, the Python is ready. So let's click on the close. So next thing we want to test is whether Python is installed or not. Let's right click on the start button and click on the Windows PowerShells. Okay. All right. So you should be seeing something like this. To test it, you want to enter py to test it. As you can see, it says 3.9.5. This is like exactly version we just installed. So that tells you it is working. So after we tell it's working, let's click on Control+Z to exit these consoles. So next we want to do is that we want to install libraries in Python 3, which is the EVE libraries. Don't confuse with like a game EVE. It is like a very useful library for APIs and a RESTful API between the MongoDB databases and the front end. So we need to actually hold the windows between these two parts, which is the backend and the front ends. We need to connect this. So the EVE library in Python 3 is very useful for these purposes. All right, so to do this, you want to do is that you want to type in py slash not slash dash m's pip install EVE, or you can just use pip3 install EVE depending on what kind of version you're using. So I can just try to see what versions I have for the PIP3s to make sure. Is it the V? Oh yeah, it's a capitalized V to see the versions. Okay, so you can see the PIP3 is from the same version. So yes, we can just directly use PIP3 install EVE. But if you find out that your PIP is from a different version, like a Python 2, which is unlikely because you're using PIP3, that's all right. You can just use the PY, which is the ones that we used before, and they follow the PY dash m's PIP install if this is like the same. And after you enter this, we can just click on enters, and it should be seeing something like this. It's already installed. So after you install, you want to test it. Okay, so let's enter py to enter the console again and trying to import EVE to see whether it is working or not. If you see nothing, yeah, like this, that says it's working. So you're all set. Right, let's exist and check on something else. So we download our MongoDB databases. Let's click on the Mongo, the files we just downloaded. All right, so the Windows installer is working. So let's wait for that. Okay, so it may take some time. So again, like the old, it's just like everything else, right? Just click on next. Let's click on complete. Let's keep all these in the default, but maybe not these ones, since you do not want to use RC. But since we're just for demonstration purposes, we can just keep this way, okay? But if you really want to use MongoDB as a serious purposes, like a research, like for a huge amount of data, you definitely do not want to install in C, because that would basically drain your space for the space C. Usually is your system disk, which is not recommended at all. All right, so let's change this to something like E, so that it's, for me, it's E. Like you can change whatever it is for your own computers. Let's click on next and install Mongo Compass. This is actually very nice to have. And if you want to install it separately, that's all right. Or if you want to like keep it checked, that's also all right. Let's click on next. Again, you need to like an administrator's privilege to install this. I should be seeing Windows telling me to confirm whether I need to do that. Yes, see this? Okay. So if you see like 32bd0.msi and the verified publisher is mongodb.inc, this is the ones. Let's click on yes to confirm. All right, it's working. So right. So let's just wait for it. It should be pretty long time. The last time I tried this is like take me 5 minutes, which is not actually bad, but in that way it will take some times, and we can just wait for it. But meanwhile, let's go for the next one. Okay, so first next one we need to do is the Firefox browser. So if you have already installed a Firefox, do not confuse this with the ones you already installed. This one is actually for developer editions. Let's click on this link. So this one is actually a very special version because it is actually designed for developers so that you can actually bypass some limitations for normal users. You can actually get access to more resources. So this is definitely better and definitely useful for us as a developer to explore and debug, right? So here's we want to do is we want to click on this one to start download. You can see it's working. So after it's finished, let's click on that. Shouldn't take you so many long times. Right, you can see this is still need your administrator privilege. So should be seeing the ones I should be seeing right now. All right, so we have two things in installing. So both are working. It may take some times, but once it is finished, we can proceed. All right. All right, so I finished the installation process. It should be seeing something like this. And after you finish that, you can just click finished. And meanwhile, I have the developer versions of the Firefox ready. So we can just try that, right? Oh, by the way, finally, we need to add this course everywhere plugin to your Files developer editions. Let's open this link but not in the Chrome though. So let's open that in the this one. Okay, this is the MongoDB campus is starting. Let's just ignore that. When it's starting, we can just right. I can already see once, but that's for the sake of seeing how this process is done. Let's just redo this again. It's pretty much like the very simple process. Like you see something like this, just click on add. All right, it's ready. You should be seeing something like this, right? Like there is icons. When click on that, it would turn green. That means we can actually open that functions. We actually talked about during our lectures, why it is needed, how we're going to use that, okay? Right, it is already prepared. Let's close that. And finally, we need to make sure that MongoDB is correctly installed and correctly runs. Let's go back to the instructions. So the MongoDB part is actually the most tricky part among all the backend process. So to test it, if you successfully install MongoDB, there are several ways to confirm. So first, you can test it with the MongoDB compass. Let's see. So you should be seeing some of this after you open the MongoDB campus. One thing you want to do is directly click on the connect. All right, so you should be seeing something like this. And after you see this, that means that you successfully installed the MongoDBs, right? So you should be seeing admins, config, and local, these three databases, which is like a three default, like a native database that MongoDB just automatically added when it's installed, right? So after you see this is all set, right? You can actually try some of yourselves because with basic testings, we can just create a new database that's so name it test, and you enter this database, you can have another collection which is equivalent to tables in the SQL databases, right? Like a Postgres or MyCircles, something like that. Let's also name it test, okay? So create it, and if you see that, that's basically saying your service is running, that's all right. And these services will automatically run after time, once you restart your computers. So every time you start a computer, this process will actually restart itself. So itself. So if you actually do not want to use MongoDB as your major research on your own PCs, which actually I do not actually recommend you to do that, because it would like take up your extra resources every time you start up. It will open up. After the labs or our workshops, you want to like uninstall that, right? There's nothing shame to do that. It's actually a very wise thing to do. Okay. And second thing, if you want to check your text managers. Now I have text managers here. So one thing you want to do is to find out the background processes you cannot directly see in the apps. You want to find out AMS, there it is. So MongoDB database servers is running. So that means the database is running. But you can actually see this is taking not very much resources in terms of PC. But in general, if you do not use it at all, you can just uninstall that, right? Right. Yeah. So yes, this is basically all for the backend parts. And if you have more questions, you're welcome to join our Slack group so that we can just answer that for you. So if you have any questions, we can just chat, right? Thank you for your listening, and see you in June 11th. And thank you for listening.